All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar on with Sapphire Mills and Green Story. We're extremely proud to host this webinar from Green Story's side. The webinar's topic is about digital product passports and lifecycle assessments. And of course, as we have two of the leaders here in Sapphire Mills on sustainability and supply chain, we'll be delving into a deeper category of topics around sustainability. So it's going to be a fun ride. As a quick introduction, my name's Akhil. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Green Story. We're a global LCA and sustainability consulting and technology platform that helps companies do lifecycle assessment at scale and in depth, and helps present it through digital product passports, and also helps in decarbonization through offsets and other systems. We have 40 people globally. We are based headquartered out of Utrecht with offices in Canada, the Netherlands, India, and Hong Kong. So it's my pleasure to welcome the folks from Sapphire Finishing Mills into this webinar. And with me today are two of the leaders in that space. We have Mohammed Irfan. Irfan's the head of supply chain, and he has been with Sapphire Finishing Mills with extensive experience in supply chain management, has successfully led various initiatives to enhance operational efficiency and sustainability, and also look at transparent supply chain as his key areas of interest and focus. And his expert plans spans across planning, procurement, and logistics, and he's one of the key pillars at the organization. I'm also very happy to welcome Rafael Roff. He is the head of sustainability and at Sapphire Finishing Mills, and he leads the organization's strategies and initiatives to meet global retail customers' requirements and expectations on ESG performance. Those of you who are joining us from LinkedIn might have seen his many posts on this subject, so he is a renowned expert in the space. And he backs it up with 9 years of experience in the textile industry with an educational background in industrial and manufacturing engineering with an ongoing executive MBA degree that he's also doing. He's also successfully presented and managed more than 1,000 mandate audits across the supply chain in his career. It's exceptional and has covered various standards and frameworks such as RAP, SA 8000, HIG, ZX, ZDHC, among too many others to list, so I won't list the whole lot here, but welcome, gentlemen, and it's really good to have you here.
Thank you very much for the introduction.
Wonderful. So I'll just start off with a brief introduction of Sapphire Finishing Mills itself. And after that, I would like to dive into what the sustainability goals are with Sapphire, but maybe, Rafa, you could kick things off and tell me a little bit more about the history of Sapphire and how that's tied up to what you're doing around sustainability and the goals therein.
All right. So thank you for the introduction and excited to be here. So talking about the sustainability goals at Sapphire, I mean, we have three main pillars on which we base our sustainability goals, which are people, planet, and prosperity. These are the three main goals. So inherently, we take our goals in that manner. Like we first of all focus on our people, which is social sustainability. Then we work on our planet, which is environmental sustainability. Then we move on to prosperity. And it's a ongoing cycle. I mean, you work on your people, you work on the environment, you save money, and obviously the prosperity comes in, and that's how it's done. So it's embedded into our DNA, and we have, come into existence. Sapphire Group has come into existence in 1970, and Sapphire Mills had come into existence in 2003. After that, our sustainability, because sustainability was something that came afterwards. First, there was compliance, then it evolved into sustainability, and now people are thinking in that manner. And we have been ahead of that curve in that manner that, we did not invest into sustainability in the perspective of environment. We thought that this was, obviously a strategic decision that we could have taken. And in 2012, we first started off with green energy when we invested in biofuel technology. And, as time passed on, we saw that, we were able to, save the environment and save some bucks as well. So inherently, it, started off that, you need to invest to save more. And we invested in multiple initiatives like water conservation, greenhouse gas emission reduction and decarbonization projects. And one of the flagship projects that we have at our facility is our cogeneration plant, in which we use biomass as a fuel source to power our facility, to generate steam, generate thermal energy. So these are some of the things. And inherently, we also look towards our products as well. That we need to focus on our products, that our products should have lesser carbon footprint, lesser water footprint, obviously lesser, uh, you can say the end of life cycle assessment, the entire waste management protocol of that should also be, it should be easily recyclable. These are all the things that we focus on in our sustainability goals. So yeah, these are the efforts that we're trying to make towards, reducing our environmental impact at Sapphire Mills. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rafael. And as I said, a key point that you mentioned there on the evolution from compliance to sustainability leadership. Can you give a little bit of insight as how you see that moving forward in the future, say to 2030, 2050?
I mean, 10 years back, I mean, the compliance word was relatively new in the industry. I mean, then people started saying that, you need to have this type of safety, you need to have these type of compliances. And we had legal requirements, we had customer oriented requirements, and we just, met the minimum things of that. This is written, just do this, do this, do this. It was a checklist type of an approach. You need to just tick the box and you're good to go. But sustainability, it's my personal perspective that sustainability is beyond that. You don't have to comply with the requirements. You need to think in a more holistic manner what you are making, what is the impact you are creating in the environment, what is your social impact. Sustainability, something like that. And it has evolved into that. First we were, just doing the basic requirements. Now we take it as our own responsibility, our day-to-day operations. Each and everything should be, our every decision should have sustainability embedded into it, whether it be buying anything, whether it be producing anything, whether it be disposing of anything. That's how it came along, and it's now being incorporated internally into our facility as well. People have got the awareness of what sustainability is. And obviously, when each and every process is more sustainable, at the end of the day, everything is translating onto your product. And that's how things are evolving day by day. And going forward, 2030, 2050, I can see that sustainability currently is being done because requirements are coming in, the EU Green Deal came in, but eventually I think this would be a second nature for everyone. So that's what I see in the future.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that insight. And moving on to you, Irfan, a lot of the times what I see is, once the sustainability strategy and all is set, it's the for folks in the supply chain who have to do the heavy lifting and work across your supply chain. So you embarked on very recently this kind of practice on life cycle assessment with Green Story. So it's definitely a big step. We're talking about evolution, going from scope 1 to 3 broader reporting to product level LCA is a big step for a company to make. So can you tell me a little bit more about why you decided to take that leap on lifecycle assessment and moving forward into digital product passports as well?
Thank you very much. And actually, as Rafa said, is becoming a talk of the town right now. Although the life cycle and the saving and the assessment kind of things already in past it was people used to do by their own kind of safety and the success stories and these kind of stuff. But now it's becoming a very crucial because the we are sitting on a information technology based things. Everybody knows about it. Customers are need transparency. Demand is increasing. So that's why life cycle assessment is very crucial now, and it helps to quantify the environmental impact as well. You have to see the life of the product and its impact from throughout its the raw material extraction to the disposal of the product. Initially people part and parcel work on it in their own capacity, but now it is a vital part for your customer, your suppliers, and your every any producer kind of aspect. Then we also have a, the digital product passport is also become the part and parcel of the life cycle assessment, which is the comprehensive system to share the information, enhancing the transparency and the traceability. And these kind of things are encouraging and forcing your manufacturer and your, the organization to uh, cover the all aspect and demanding aspect of your customer and your future partners.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Irfan. Rafa, anything to add, especially, as you're looking at like the broader sustainability goals, how does LCA kind of play into that for you?
I would say LCA is, I mean, the best thing I could say about product lines right at the moment, because I mean, the best part of LCA, what I see is that first, we go used to go on sales exhibitions, and we used to tell about the product that, the hand feel is very good. This contains 100% cotton. This contains 2% stretch and all that. We used to tell a lot of stories about the product. Now the thing which I recently went when we launched Green Story at a recent Kingpin show in New York. Now there were the sales team. They were just selling the product and everything, and then they were converting towards me. Now how is this product sustainable? So I just told them that you can scan the QR code and just check what the product that we are showcasing to you, what this does. So the best part what I see is that now the consumer and the buyer is much more well aware of what they are buying. I mean, they know how much water was used in this product. They know how much energy was utilized for this. They know the greenhouse gas emissions of that product. And that would, for me, what I'm foreseeing is that this would be a very big game changer in the near run. That now I myself can also evaluate which products are more sustainable. Even the consumer can evaluate in a much more transparent and easy manner. It's very easy to, just take out your camera, scan the QR code, and make a decision that, I want a sustainable product. I want to, reduce my carbon footprint. So this has enabled the enablement part of digital product passports and LCAs. That's the best part. And maybe this, I mean, the research was done way back, but the platform that has been provided to LCAs through a digital product passport or platforms like Green Story, this has been phenomenal, I would say. And customers, when they come onto your exhibition and they see, they're really impressed that, wow, I mean, I'm able to see what I am, the impact that my product is creating. So I mean, it's a really big game changer. How that LCA has, and the best part, the thing that I saw is now that I can set very clear goals for myself. That this was my product footprint this year. Now I have to reduce this. And it's become very easy because I have been through that transition when I used to, do LCAs on an Excel sheet. You need to get emission factors for, I mean, this much coal and all these things. I've done that manually. And this has really, made my life easy. So I mean, this will be a game changer, and considering the things that are coming in nowadays and the fast-paced environment that we have, I mean, this is a very good technology.
Fantastic. That's great to hear, and it's good to see that your life's a little bit easier now because I'm familiar with the whole Excel work, and that can be
Yeah.
500 tabs later. You're still doing the calculation. But it's really interesting to see that reaction from your customers. I'm sure both of you experienced it as well. One thing that I've seen is a little bit of relief from their side because they themselves have their reporting requirements, and this kind of makes it easier for them. So if you're a supplier and you're saying that I'm going to make it easy for you to meet your compliance needs. I'm going to make it
Mm.
easy for you to do the calculation. There's little bit of like a lower risk as they see it if you're done in LCA, but also like a bit of relief from their sustainability team saying, oh, good, I don't have to work with these guys to help them understand what LCA is.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So yeah, you talked a little bit about the data collection and systems right now. So maybe Irfan, you can speak to it a little bit more on as we are embarking on this journey of LCA. A lot of life cycle assessment is really digging into your supply chain. Now, we'll be talking to your suppliers to understand what are the processes they use, figure out where the cotton came from, figure out where the dyes came from. There's a lot of in-depth work that goes on. So can you tell us a little bit from your team's perspective as the head of supply chain? What are the challenges that you're facing as you're going through LCA and data collection?
Like Rafi said, the collection of data and managing everything is, the fundamental of these things is, the main challenges are the collection of the data, the transparency of, the data. And once the information spread out and the people are getting the information and the knowledge of the product and the things, it's becoming a very, the complexity of the data and the transparency and, all across the supply chain is becoming very, very critical. So you have to be a standardized kind of a mechanism to, extract the data, standardized methodologies, the very transparent kind of methodologies which shows the collection of data, and the robust kind of data management system and collaboration with supplier and stakeholder. This is only done because of the collaboration and the helping hand from supplier as well. You need to be very clear and transparent, and at the end of the day, the standardization of collection of data is the prime challenge for us. So we need to work on it very hardly, and we need to align and we need to support those stakeholders, and we need to educate those stakeholders that these data at the end of the day will help all of us to pursue and prosper in our the life.
Thank you. Just one point off that, and it's like I see two heads of department here. You have head of supply chain and head of sustainability. So often when you're doing LCA, there's a lot of interdepartment collaboration that's also needed,
Yeah, yeah.
especially you're a large operation yourself, and
Mhm.
so how are you kind of managing those dynamics? Is there like more clarity in terms of who's doing what within your teams for LCA, or is that still like a kind of a joint effort?
Uh, yes, it is. It's actually a both. We need to work individually in your department, and then collectively you need to align everything from start of your product to till the value chain, till the complete value chain. You need to align everything. You need to join hand in hand to for the better clarity, for transparency, for clarity of your employees as well. It's not a top line or a broader prospect to get the data and detail of everything. You need to take along with your the process owners, your executives, your everyone. You need to be take on board everyone to make a life cycles detail and assessment and these things very clarity. So in my perspective, it is not a single department or a single person job. You need to be a collaborative kind of efforts to deliver things to your final customer, and to at the end of the day for the better clarity for your customer, so it more knows about your product life cycle and the saving you have put in your processes.
Fantastic. Rafa, anything to add from your side?
Yeah, I would like to second Irfan's point that, we have faced this nightmare many times, because being in the compliance and sustainability department, our main role in Pakistan is to get everyone aligned on the same page. We have to collect data from this department, and it was really difficult, to get things from each and every department, and then read that data, become an expert in that, and then be able to translate that into something viable that can be showcased to the customer. But now, what lifecycle assessments and the databases and the research that has been done by people in this segment has really eased our life in translating something for the customer. Now what happens is that something like Green Story, the platform that we have now, we can share the access to the users. They can input data on their own. They know what they have input, and they are able to do that. We do not have to be experts in each and everything. The stakeholder engagement is very important for LCAs. I mean, like getting data from sales, getting data from engineering, getting data from supply chain, that where this came through and all these things. Now such platforms, such collaborations, ease our working methodology and has made it more transparent as well. Now we're more confident on what we're reporting. Previously, it was really difficult for us to translate that data. And now it's a good thing that many technical people are coming into this field as well to get, the digital product passports and the working that we've had. I really, share this story with a lot of people that, when back 5, 6 years back, when I used to be in Sapphire Mills, and now when I'm back, at that time, the total team size was 6 to 10 people. Now we're around crossing 30, 35 at the moment.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, the number of resources are increasing. That shows that how much importance this field is getting now, the field of sustainability, and how much people now are, asking this question nowadays. And obviously, every day I receive a new email from one of our customers that, we want an LCA on this. I want for this product. Even the customers that usually we did not expect them to ask such questions. I mean, they were very, slow on the pace of compliance and sustainability, but even they are asking that how much my carbon footprint or how much the environmental footprint of my product is. So now things are much more aligned, much more easier for us to report. And, it's a good transition that's happening nowadays. And I'm really happy about it.
That's fantastic. And I also assume, given that there is a push from customers as well now, both your sales and marketing and C-level is also fully aligned because they're hearing it directly about this.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the targets as well, right? So of course you started off with LCA and we're building it up. So what is the goal with respect to life cycle assessment and supply chain assessment that's going on right now?
Uh, Actually, if you would ask me, the particular goal of it is the actually, let me rephrase of this point in a way that product are making since ages. If you know nothing about where we need to improve, you cannot improve it. So this is the life cycle assessment is a hidden the part of that product in since ages. Now it is becoming on a surface on a table to think about it, to know where to do, what to do, and how much to improve it. So life cycle assessment and life cycle of a product is sharing the actual environmental impact of the product, which is helping the decision maker to decide about the product, about the design, about the policies and everything, which is helping the continuous improvement in your product. It is also by doing this, you also you are getting goals out of it. You can prioritize your goals, your objectives from by studying the complete life cycle of your product, which is more important, which is although all the cycles of your product where the value chain is adding in your product is very important. But prioritizing the things is only able when you have a data, when you have a clear picture of your product. So sometimes a small effort in a larger portion become given a better and a broader and a huge results on your product and your efficiency and your transparency to your customer. So in a nutshell, the complete picture of the product helping your team and your team from production to development to sales and everybody where to put efforts and given a right thing at the right time.
Fantastic. That's also the idea from what you're talking about hotspot assessments, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Really
yeah.
looking into your supply chain and seeing where the issues are.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Fantastic. And is the goal then to have like a complete coverage across your entire product line with LCA?
Sorry, come again?
Is the goal with the what's going on right now to ensure that each and every product that you're making will have a life cycle assessment
Yes,
attached to it?
exactly. Yes, exactly. It's a talk of the town now. It's a prime. It's a prime of your product. You need to analyze your product. You need to identify the challenges. You need to identify the improvement points. You need to gauge, and you need to, the every your complete carbon footprint. You need to analyze this. You need to put an effort to reduce wherever you can, put your efforts, improve your efficiency, your resources, and achieve the sustainable goal. It is the end of the project, the final, your agenda. You have to achieve your sustainable goals to for your product, for your organization, and for your, at the end of the day, your customer.
Fantastic. That's amazing. So when you're talking about this, and the customer is a key point in all of this, right? Because all the impact reductions and all, you do have to bring it forward to the customer, and that's where the digital product passport, which, for all intents and purposes, if you go beyond the jargon, it's just a way for anybody at any point to see what your impact is for a product. That's what the DPP is supposed to present.
Yes.
So can you tell a little bit? I mean, you were both at Kingpins, for example. Uh, how does that matter to the customers? Because you're selling to retailers, you're selling to brands, and how do you think that will help them in kind of meeting their own sustainability goals or their own kind of regulatory requirements?
Yeah, like I said, when I was at the Kingpins show, uh, when customers come in, they come usually in bundles. I mean, there were three, four people of the same company coming in. So two people were, the procurement people or the buyers actually that buy the product on the quality element, that what the quality is being offered, what is the cost of the product, and along with them, there were two, three cases in that. When what I observed, that there was one person that was of sustainable procurement or
Mm.
product sustainability. Those people were also attached with the buyers actually that were actually sourcing the product. So two people, three people were sitting with the sales guys that were talking about the quality, the cost, and everything. And one person was attached with me. And that person was asking, okay, so what is LCA? What are you doing on it? Where did you get the data from? And I was doing my part in that. So that's how it's transitioning. I was at a conference as well, and the person that I was sitting in a panel, that person was the VP of sustainability and procurement. So that person was buying as well and was also the VP of sustainability. So that's how customers are transitioning as well. The buyers, the brands, they are incorporating sustainability into their procurement practices. Now, how can I make their lives easier for them? By providing them with digital product passports that provide that transparency of what I'm doing at my facility. What I'm doing at my facility, the DPP is able to translate onto that. For example, I'm using biomass for my energy consumptions. I am conserving water. I am using those types of fuels that have lesser carbon footprint compared to coal or compared to heavy fuel oil XYZ. I can translate that onto my product. Before that, I was only showcasing things that I have done this in my factory, I've done this in my factory. But the question always remained that how are you translating that onto your product? Okay, if you're doing that in your factory, what are you doing for my product? Is my product more sustainable than what you are making for others in your factory? Because I make like 100 products for 50 different customers. So the question was always there, that is my product good or is my product bad for the environment? So those questions really came up. And even when the first LCA that we did with Green Story, the first question that came in was that is it good or is it bad? So my answer was to that was, good or bad is a very subjective type of a question.
Yes.
It really depends on what you are buying, but at least I can give you that enablement. I can enable you to take that decision, that you have now the data available with you. Now you can take that decision. Is it good or is it bad? That's completely up to you. If you want to, if you're buying a white colored product, which it does not have any dyes on it, obviously it's good for the environment. But is it good for you or good for business? That's a different question.
Yes.
So, I mean, the DPPs has really enabled us to open up those questions with the customers and talk about these things, talk about, and honestly speaking, if we do not do this, maybe 5 years down the road, we may be out of business. Because if we are not able to provide that type of service to our customers, like for example, Irfan is not able to provide a certain type of cotton or a certain type of polyester to the customer would say, okay, I'll buy it from somewhere else. Same is the case with me. If I am not able to provide that type of data, that type of transparency to my customer, obviously they'll say, okay, we'll go to someone else. So all these things are, you know, part of the supply chain, part of a very strong chain that is, adding up. And I mean, this is the future, I would say.
Yes, true. Actually, true. Actually, we need to educate the way customers are educating us. We need to educate everybody in our supply chain. People are a little bit reluctant in some cases, but these these this is the what Rafe is explained is a strategical partnership of your inside organization, which helps to translate the information, translate the broader objective to your complete supply chain. So time to time, we take help from Rafe to educate our suppliers as well, which are little bit reluctant in current time. But at the end of the day, in the next few years, everybody has to do it and has to be on at front to deliver a product, right product, and required kind of stuff to your customer.
Fantastic. Again, that's such a fascinating answer, and thank you both for that. I think what was really interesting is when Rafael, also when you talked about like how uh, the functions have come together, right? Like before, like in a brand, for example, you would never see those two functions together. Sustainability was often its corner doing its thing, and then sourcing was often its corner doing its thing. And now, like that coming together is also talking about what Irfan was talking on education, on how the
Yeah,
brands themselves are getting more educated, and also a different class of experts are coming in because 10, 15 years ago, how many sustainability folks were in these companies? It was very hard to get like even a sustainability degree.
true, true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And can you tell me a little bit more about that education aspect, just like as maybe as a brief thing, like because we've done it ourselves. So, for example, we have webinars like with you folks. We have done in-person workshops with governments. Recently, I was in India and I did like 2 days of workshops, both in Tamil Nadu and in Delhi to look through it. So, can you tell me a little bit more about how you're finding that kind of education progressing among your supply chains and among the brands that you work with? What are kind of the initiatives that are being pushed forward to educate people around sustainability and life cycle assessment?
Uh, Honestly, currently, right now, it's a nightmare in Pakistan because I have been
That's
through
true. I
that
second.
transition. I mean, I've been through that process of getting data from my suppliers. And I mean, for example, I sent an email to 100 suppliers and 90% of them did not reply, first of all.
Yep.
When we asked them, they said that we didn't understand what you sent. First of all, we don't have a resource that can, study this and understand what you're trying to say. Okay, five of them said that we don't have any such thing. They understood what I sent, but they said that we don't have any type of emissions. This does not apply on us. And I mean, we're making very basic things like small labels. So why do you need this data from us? And only, I think, out of 100, I think hardly two or three suppliers, which were multinational chemical suppliers or some label suppliers, something like that, they were able to provide that data. And I made it really easy that for them. I just gave them an Excel sheet. I just said that just input how much you have produced, and I'll just calculate how much I've taken from you. Just because in SBTIs you need to give your data on whether you took it from directly from your suppliers or is it on the spend based methodology. But it's a really big nightmare at the moment due to the
Mm.
education, due to the lack of resources. Because me sitting in Sapphire, we are one of the largest textile conglomerates in Pakistan. We are eventually ahead of the curve in terms of sustainability. We are one of the can say biggest companies in Pakistan. But the suppliers that we work with are, some of them are big, some of them are SMEs, small and medium enterprises. Even the large scale, even the larger companies do not have resources available with them. They do not Even if they have someone which is head of compliance or sustainability, though those people do not have that educational background, do not have, because right now in my team I have almost 10 in people with which have environmental engineering or environmental sciences background. I need those people to be able to understand what is going on. If I don't have those technical resources available with me, obviously, even there are some days in which I see something new has come in and it is very technical that even it goes above my head. Then I, bring in someone, or I,
Mm.
give it to my assistant or some trainee that, study this 200-pager document and just translate it into a summary for me. So, yeah, this is how things are changing nowadays. And unfortunately, in Pakistan, uh, this will take time. This will really take time for people to understand the importance of this. And currently, there isn't any sustainability degree in Pakistan. You are left with either you can get a chemical engineer or you can get an environmental engineer. You need to have someone technical with a technical background. Previously, when compliance came in, non-technical people were leading this department. They were able to, manage the things, but now it's become very technical. And until and unless people hire resources of this nature, I mean, it would get very difficult. But let's see. Let's hope for the best.
Yes.
Absolutely, and I can assure you, it's not just Pakistan; it's all over the world. Like I've
Yeah.
seen this with
Yeah.
every country we work with, at over 40 different countries. Same dynamics, right? Because this is also new. Because you have an industry that was very stable, going in a separate way, and suddenly this new complete department came into being, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have enough people, right? So it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's this is amazing to see that evolution, and it's lovely to see how you guys are leading in it and actually thinking so far ahead to kind of build this all up. So we're very proud to partner with you through all of this. So thank you so much. So any kind of closing words from either of your side before I pass it on to questions for the audience?
Thank you very
No,
much from my side, and thank you very much for inviting me for this very special kind of session and topic. So, as you know, we being a Sapphire proud to be a part of the education. We are the first early birds who are educating suppliers and are in Pakistan to work on it, which is become a vital part in future, which is becoming a very crucial part, I would say, very crucial part of the you're selling your product to international hosts. So thank you very much from my side, and hope these kind of session will be, will continue in future for the education and for the help of others to learn and to take part from their side for this education, which is at the end of the day help our economy and our industry in Pakistan.
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, I think seconding to what Irfan said, that these platforms or such webinars and seminars really provide that opportunity for us to share best examples that what we are doing, so that everyone else can follow suit. I mean, I have that personal approach that you need to be a lighthouse for everyone else, so that you can enable others as well to take on this transition. Because without collaboration, nothing is possible. And as already we know that scope three is the big elephant in the room, and that is the main thing that we need to focus on. And scope three is not possible without positive collaborations, without supplier engagements, stakeholder engagement, and that's what we need to work on in the future. So yeah, that's it from my side, and I think we can take questions now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much both. So we do have a question already from Amay Padma, I believe from the Sorcery. So thank you so much for joining us, Amay. So she's asking how carbon footprint has been calculated for scope one, two, and three, and what monitoring and verification has been used for LCA data. I can support with the second answer, of course, because we're working together on it. But Rafael, maybe you can take the scope one, two, three question first.
Yeah, if I talk about scope one and two, I mean scope the platforms that we're using, for example, GHG protocol, and even I mean this is has become very easy for us now, because previously we used to have that difficulty of using GHG protocols and everything needs to be calculated on your own. Now we mostly use for our reporting is the worldly platform, which was previously named Hig Index. We just report how much fuel we used, how much water we use in each and everything, and it automatically calculates your scope 1. And even we can input purchase electricity, purchase steam, each and everything, and it calculates your scope 2. We are using internal tools as well, like the GHG protocols and some United Nations tools as well. And for scope 3 for SBTI, we use the spend based methodology at our company, because, like I just mentioned, the nightmare that we have with suppliers to get data from them. Scope 3 is the big challenge nowadays. Now, to get actual data from them, you can use tools to calculate it, but yeah, that's how we're doing it at the moment at our
And
facility.
fantastic. And hopefully with the LCAs in place, you'll be able
Yeah.
to move to activity based. So in terms of the data, so since you're working with us, I can answer a little bit about it. But the basic idea here is you will not get full data right away, as you've seen with working with the suppliers. So a lot of the time, what we do with Green Stories, we have our own data sets and databases that we have created, as well as utilizing systems like EcoInvent to get good proxy information. So we have a team of experts who's working with Rafa and his team to get the right estimates in place. So rather than just using global information, one of the issues that was there with previous Hague and Worldly was everything was global estimates, global estimates, global estimates when it went to scope 3. What we're trying to do is actually look at the product and the supply chain and get estimates based on that particular region, that particular manufacturer and process, and plug in the data until such a time where you can get actual data. So that's one aspect of it. So in terms of verification, there are checks done on the bills, whether it's electricity, whatever it is, water bills, all these invoices, and all these other things, as well as reports that are checked. And of course, we have experts in house who kind of use their previous work and experience to really see if the information that's provided from suppliers is correct or not. Because more often than not, what we've experienced is, because this is new to the suppliers, they might put the information in wrongly. So we kind of have that check and balance from our side, from a very manual as well as an automated method, just to kind of ensure that that data can be interpreted correctly. Because we've seen sometimes, I hope it's not in your case, Rafi, that they put facility level data for a product, and we've seen the footprints just balloon as a result. So that's the main kind of checks that we're doing. And yes, Shoaib, you can get a recording. We'll be sharing this with everybody, and Sapphire will be publishing it as well as. But I think that's all the questions that we have right now. But again, thank you so much, gentlemen, for such an informative discussion. It's my pleasure to host both of you, and looking forward to having more of these in the future.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.